On a pitch-black night off the coast of California, newly leaked video allegedly shows one of the U.S. Navy's stealth ships tracking an unknown object in the sky.
Just looking from the way that the craft is moving around and stuff, you can tell that that's not a human.
It's sort of wobbling about.
We're going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude.
There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are.
It really can't be anything human.
Alright, hello and welcome to episode 9 of the Cult Status podcast, proudly brought to you by Origin Apparel. Today, me and Tinny are joined by Josh Yo David, a very, very special guest. Tin?
Yeah, huge guest today. I think all the viewers are pretty excited about this one. I know I definitely am. Something different, something that we can find out. And so he's a UFO specialist.
Yeah, I'm fucking honoured to be here. I forgot to ask, I can swear, right?
Yeah.
Alright, my bad. But boys, it's good to be here. I think specialist is a bit of a heavy word. I just watched a lot of Joe Rogan and done a lot of digging into it. So happy to be here.
We love it. You call yourself a specialist. That's a Cult Hero thing.
We're happy that you're here, mate. So
Thanks, man.
before we do get into UFO stuff, we just want everyone to know,
To give you a bit of credibility.
Yeah, he knows his stuff, this guy. What are you studying at uni?
At Murdoch, just doing law and environmental science.
Just casually.
Yeah, so he knows what he's talking about. He's not just some bloke we pulled off the side of the street and tell us about UFOs. He knows what he's doing. So
And obviously, we know you from footy.
Footy
down
Mighty Winnicott Eagles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So alright.
Any further
Boys,
ado?
let's
Here we go.
dive into it. So
Let's let Yoey talk.
right, so I reckon Jackson's gonna add the videos around here. So these videos, they got released by the Pentagon, and I reckon that's some pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I reckon we've all, in primary school and stuff, we all know about UFOs and stuff,
Yeah.
and it's sort of just bit of fun, bit of stuff in the movies, bit of cartoon stuff, but I reckon the fact that the government's actually come out and confirmed that UFOs are real is some pretty serious shit.
Yeah.
So the one that really caught my attention, because at my job I just listen to podcasts and stuff like that, but one that really caught my attention was this Joe Rogan podcast with a guy named Commander David Faber.
Yeah.
So this bloke, he's a proper Navy pilot, he's a commander, he's a real credible guy, and in 2004 he reported that he was following an unidentified craft. And the whole thing was caught on video as well. It's one of the videos that's attached. And just looking from the way that the craft is moving around and stuff, you can tell that that's not that's not a human.
It's sort of
human
wobbling
thing.
about. And
Yeah. So these craft as well, the way that they're moving around, it's not the reactor that's making them move around is not like a human one. So the way our engines work, something comes out the back and that propels us forward. Our cars and stuff, they've got exhaust and stuff like that, and stuff comes out the back, car goes forward. In the videos and stuff, you can see the craft traveling really fast one way and then moving back. There's one where it goes left and it goes right. It goes left, it goes right.
Yeah.
So one theory that I have, and that has been referred to many times by actual scientists, not just someone like me, is that these craft, they're propelled by gravity.
Yeah.
So it works on a gravity propulsion system, and how something like that would work, I'll give an analogy here.
Yeah,
Is
because I'm
if
not
you
too
were-
sure what gravity propulsion would mean. So
I'm actually not that sure either. So if this is wrong, don't no one come at me. So imagine you're sitting on a bed, right, a flat, spongy bed, and you put a bowling ball in the middle, and let's say to the side of it, you pressed your hand down. The bowling ball would roll towards that little dip you made in the bed.
Yeah.
And so if you move that around, the bowling ball will just follow and roll around wherever you go, right? So it's gravity's pulling it towards, pulling the object towards
a focus
the center.
point.
A focus point, yeah. So that's how the craft works. So gravity pulls it forward, and that's how it's able to go left, right. And obviously, humans don't have that.
Yeah.
So it really can't, unless the crazy Russians or the crazy Chinese have got something cooking up. It really can't be anything human. So that brings us to another little point that I have. I don't know if anyone's familiar with a bloke named Bob Lazar. So Bob Lazar in the 80s, he came out saying that he worked in Area 50. Well, he said that he worked at Area 51 and like a section in Area 51 called S4. So Bob Lazar is actually the reason why everyone knows about Area 51 nowadays. 'Cause at the time, no one really knew about Area 51. So this guy's the reason that we all know what it is.
Yeah.
And so he came out and said that he was recruited to this army base and he was instructed to work on an alien aircraft and sort of reverse engineer it to work out how it was propelled.
Oh, yeah.
So he said that the way that the craft he worked on was an anti-gravity reactor. So again, that's kind of like that. This bloke said this in the 80s, and then the commander guy saw these UFOs working the way that they do in 2004. So it's kind of like, it's like little bits of evidence adding up.
Yeah.
Kind of like
So
the
we're
story's
just
getting a bit.
stepping stones to something bigger.
Yeah,
Something
yeah.
that they're hiding.
So Bob Lazar, he like when he came out and reported it, obviously no one really believed him because like, who is this guy? What's he saying? But they people did background checks on him and stuff like that to see if he was credible. And turns out all of his like college degree, his uni degree and stuff, it was all wiped from the system.
Whoa.
Really?
So there was no evidence that like
That
he existed pretty
Wow.
much. But obviously like researchers and stuff like dug deep into it and they were able to find like news articles and stuff where like his name's mentioned and stuff. So it's like, why would his records all be wiped clean if he wasn't
Exactly.
telling the truth?
Yeah,
Exactly. And so Bob Lazar was working on these aircrafts and he worked on them for about a couple of months, he said, and he said that the government had about like 9 aircraft that they had in there and he worked on 2 of them. And he said that he saw like he saw them take off and land and stuff like that, and like the government was able to fully like control them and stuff like that. But he said that it was confirmed to him that they were not made by him. It's like that's the whole reason he was there. He was trying to work out how it was propelled because supposedly they knew how it could how to use it, but they didn't know how it worked. It's like me, like I can drive a car, I got no clue what the fuck's going on inside there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so supposedly one of these craft was like a really, really old one that they've been in possession of for like a long time. That was like from an archaeological dig, which I reckon is pretty interesting because there's another bloke and his name's Graham Hancock who has a theory that there was an advanced civilization that used to exist roughly 8,000 years ago to 12,000 years ago.
Yeah.
They got wiped out by a mass extinction event, kind of like the dinosaurs
Yeah.
did. And there actually is quite a lot of evidence now to support this. Like for example, there's like the pyramids. The pyramids, they're like, I think it's like the dimensions of the width of the pyramid when you add them up and times them by the number of days it takes for the Earth to go around like the sun or something. It gives you the exact measurement for the speed of light and how the positioning of the pyramid is like exactly between the North and South poles. Like, but it's like pretty like stuff that we could do. But like the fact that people were doing this like thousands of years ago makes you wonder like, did they have help from anyone?
Coincidence,
No
Exactly.
calculators back then.
No calculators, no, exactly. So, and more theories for that as well was like, we all know like Noah's flood and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Basically, every culture around the world has a story about a massive flood happening that like wiped out a bunch of people. So Graham Hancock reckons that roughly 8,000, 12,000 years ago, the Earth was struck by a massive meteorite that like hit an ice cap, like in North America. And when it hit this ice cap, it liquidized it and caused this massive flood that just destroyed like massive amounts of like life and stuff like that. So he reckons that there used to be an advanced civilization that existed during this time that could have been as advanced as we are today, but when this asteroid hit, it just wiped them all out.
Wow.
So, but this is just like, we're just rambling here, we're throwing ideas.
No, that's alright.
What if these people, if this culture existed, what if they were as innovative as we are, but they went down a different road of technology, like they went down a more gravity, like a more force of like propulsion. Like 200 years ago, we were all riding horses, and then someone invented a motor which works on combustion.
Yeah.
But what if they didn't do that and they went down the gravity? And what if today we didn't have engines? We were using gravity propulsion.
Yeah.
So this ancient civilization could have had all that, and it could have been la-di-da. But then when that asteroid hit, it wiped them all out. So maybe a couple of them survived, and they've been hiding around all this time. Like they could be hiding in the depths of the ocean, like in the
Yeah.
videos earlier we
Anyway.
saw.
Yeah.
And the videos we saw earlier, one of the craft bobs straight back down into the water. So many of these UFO stories from military officials
Yeah.
happen in the Navy, out there
at
in the
sea,
water.
yeah.
Maybe
Wow.
these people
Yeah.
have like, well, maybe there's like the lost city of Atlantis. Maybe they're
Yeah.
from there. They
Yeah.
just travel back down there. But you can create so
Theories
many
are
different
endless.
theories about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the theories are endless. But one of the ones that I reckon that like I reckon this is it.
Yeah.
Is I actually reckon it's probably more likely that they're future humans that have traveled back in time to try help fix like climate change and all that.
Yeah.
Oi.
So before we move into that, what I did like about your last thing was it wasn't an alien that made it. You're actually saying that humans.
Yeah.
So like to me, I don't know. Do you believe in aliens? Or?
Me personally, I'm a Christian, like not like a crazy Christian. I was
Yeah.
like a Christian,
Yeah.
so like I reckon there could be life out there, but like
Yeah.
if like really like there's some weight to religion and stuff, it could just be future humans.
Yeah. Okay. So
But
yeah.
I to be honest, the universe is so broad and wide, like it really could be aliens. Like that'd be pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, but to me, that's more believable that a former civilization did it
Yeah.
than extraterrestrial life. That's, to me, yeah.
So yeah, like it could have. Because like 8,000, 12,000 years is a long ass time. Like
yeah.
100
Yeah.
years ago, Melbourne were like winning premierships every year and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like, shit's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
A lot can change in 100 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So-
100 and well, however old the oldest person in the world is.
Yeah.
A day before they were born, it was a whole different set of humans on the earth.
Yeah, exactly.
Something
How
like
crazy.
Yeah.
That is pretty whack to think
Yeah,
about.
Yeah.
Tinny,
Food for thought.
boy.
And also, there was, at one point in time, you were the youngest person on Earth.
Yeah.
True,
That too.
yes.
Yeah.
At one point, you were. Sheesh.
Yeah, love talking about shit like this.
Yeah.
It's so fun. But yeah. Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
So back to the gravity propulsion system.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bob Lazar said, because he was like a really smart guy, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people that are really into physics and stuff know that like if you can control gravity, because like time works like waves sort of, and gravity is a wave, you could technically go forward in time and you could technically go back in time.
Right.
So I don't really know like the fundamentals of that, so I'm not going to like go into any more about how it works, because I honestly, I'd just be bullshitting if I did.
Yeah.
But I know the basis of the fact is if you have gravity propulsion, you
can-
could go back and you could go forward in time. So I think that the UFOs people are seeing and stuff like that could just be people from the future living in like a world that's kind of gone to shit because of the climate and stuff, that are coming back in time to like
Wow.
try and fix things. And hold up, I reckon there's a bit of evidence for it. So
Oh.
I'll start off with the first bit. So I want everyone, including the audience, I want everyone to picture what they reckon an alien would look like. I'll just give you a couple.
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I just look at ET.
That's a good one. That's a good one. So the typical alien that you'd imagine, really big head,
Yeah.
really skinny body, really skinny arms. right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
kind of
exactly what I.
Yeah.
Might get a photo of ET up.
Yeah, we'll do that. So now,
Poor AT.
not ET from footy. I love you, ET. But anyway, you boys familiar with how evolution would work? Like how a species slowly changes
Yes.
over time.
Yeah.
So,
So there's beliefs that that happen to humans, and
yeah, and I believe
Yeah.
that's still happening to this day. So, for example, nowadays we've got a lot more technology, a lot more access to information. So naturally, our brains are getting bigger, so our heads are getting bigger.
Yeah.
And because our bodies, like our physical bodies, are designed to protect us from the natural environment, like to run away from saber-toothed tigers back in the day, or to like climb trees
Yeah,
real fast.
true.
So I'm pretty sure like there's evidence as well, like 100 years ago, the average male was like a couple centimeters taller and broader than the average male today. So
Horses.
yeah, exactly. So as time goes on, humans are sort of losing their dependency on physical bodies, and they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller, but their heads are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So
Jeez.
that, and like this change between the heights only over 100 years.
Yeah.
Imagine the change that's going to happen to humans in 1,000,000 years.
yeah, okay.
So if we follow that pattern, we could kind of end up looking like what we believe aliens to be.
So yeah, okay.
This
So
is
you think
freaking me out.
we're evolving to aliens?
I don't. But
Not
they're not
aliens,
aliens.
mate.
Just future
Oh,
humans.
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So we
And
don't even call them aliens now. They actually, yeah.
Yes,
future
but they could
humans.
be like what
Wow.
what you think a future, what you think an alien would look like could potentially be what a human in a million years looks like. So, example, if we take the earliest humans, like Australopithecus or something like that, like a monkey-looking person, then we took a person from the 1600s, then we took a modern-day person.
Completely different.
Completely different.
Yeah.
And what comes next?
Hey,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Exactly. And so, let's just let's humor this idea. Let's just say that the future human does look like that, and they have access to technology that could bring them back in time. Now, we all know that climate change is pretty undeniable. There's a lot of stuff happening. Ice caps getting bigger, polar bears getting hungry because they got nothing to eat.
Yeah.
We all know that.
Yeah.
So, a bunch of UFO stories. For example, there was one that happened in Kenya in the 1960s. It happened at a school, and apparently, supposedly, what happened was a UFO came down, and the aliens got out and spoke to the children about how they needed to be careful with technology and they needed to look after their environment. And this story is pretty credible because the BBC sent out reporters and stuff to interview the children, and all of the children had the exact same story. No one else. I think some of the teachers might have seen it and stuff, but no one else saw it apart from the people that were there. And all these people had the same stories, and all the people that have interviewed them and stuff like that were like, you got to take their word. Like, they have no reason to make something like that up.
Absolutely.
So on the basis of so that's just one example. There's another example that happened in Melbourne where a bunch of teachers and students all saw the same thing, similar message from whatever these beings are about pay attention to technology, take care of the environment.
And saying to students.
Exactly. That's
the future.
Saying it to the younger generation. So if we follow the way that the climate's going at the moment, it's really not looking too good, is it? Yeah. So I guess maybe would it make sense that future humans are coming back in time to try and if not correct it, trying to steer humanity on the best path.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The ideal path.
Yeah.
So that could be one of the things that
Absolutely.
one of the things that happen.
Yeah.
And there's also we're just off the top here. There's also theories that they're not future humans, they're not past humans. They're really just beings from other dimensions. So I don't know if you boys are aware, but we are all of us sitting here in this room.
Yeah.
We are 3-dimensional beings.
Yeah.
But we know that there are 4 dimensions. So there's your body, there's your mind, there's your heart, and there's your spirit, your soul. How mental is that? That we all know that you all have something within you that's kind of like that, your soul.
I know.
So that's pretty crazy. And we all know and how weird is it that every night we all go to bed and we all know that we're probably gonna have a dream. And the fact that other people are having dreams. How weird is that? And how weird is it that some people they dream of people, they go to sleep, they dream of someone they've just never seen before.
Yeah.
And but those people are in their dreams. How weird is that connection and all that? So this leads into another thing, which is kind of from Joe Rogan, kind of from my crazy friends.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you boys are aware of psychedelic drugs, LSD,
heard of them,
mushrooms,
haven't.
DMT. So but supposedly when you do high doses of these drugs, you see entities, beings, shadowy figures, or just figures, and that's a fact that when you do high amounts of those types of drugs, you see those things. And supposedly this was from a guy on the Joe Rogan podcast, Alex Jones, that there's a branch of government that is devoted to giving people massive amounts of these drugs and going into meetings with these entities and communicating with these entities.
Really?
That's how. So this is all conspiracies, guys. But supposedly, and the guy's name's Alex Jones. I don't know if I said that.
Conspiracy theorist. Number one.
Yeah, he's the king. But supposedly that the government, they're astronauts sort of, but they're astronauts of the mind.
Yeah.
So they go they do crazy amounts of these psychedelic drugs, and they go off and they have meetings with these aliens and they make deals with these aliens. That's honestly, as far as crazy goes, that's at the top of the food. And supposedly that there's a galactic federation and all that, and how there's a federation of these entities and stuff like that. Wow. And the crazy thing is, I was talking about the dimensions earlier, about your soul and stuff like that. We'll come back to it. We are we're aware of this third dimension because we can like see it and we can feel
We're
it,
in
we
it.
can hear it.
Yeah.
But like, what if you had another sense, but it just wasn't like, you just couldn't have any way to activate it. So like, for example, if you don't have sight, you don't see anything, so you can't see what's around you. So what if there was a sense that you had that could pick up on other things going around you? You know what I mean? Like, what if like there was something there, like what if there's like something else happening there right now, but you just can't detect it because you don't have that sense. But like that realm, that dimension where like your spirit operates, like you can't say like that's what I think as well. People can like sense when like there's something bad, like
instincts.
Instinct,
Yeah.
Like how crazy is that? That like people all like we all know like, oh, I've got a bad feeling about it. There's like you can like feel like that very sense that you can feel is kind of crazy.
I've got a bit of that right now, actually.
But yeah, like how like nutty is that? So I think the very fact that like we can all accept that there's like a mind and like a soul, you're kind of admitting to the fact that there's something not human around us already. Yeah. So like, would it be really that hard to like grasp the concept of like something else existing there as well? Just not aware of it.
And the fact we can only access 10% of our brain.
That is yeah. That's another big one.
Do you think that has something to do with these drugs being so illegal and just?
I think it probably could be, or it could be the fact they're illegal because of that. Yeah. And the government doesn't want. That's also
the government doesn't want.
That's a typical stoner attitude, but like that very well could be like it could be that
could be hiding something.
Yeah.
It might not actually be bad for you.
It might not actually.
It's just they don't want people to know.
Yeah. So and
now we're not promoting this.
No, bad. But and it also could be like the government. We all think like it's your instinct to not trust the government. Or maybe they're doing things to solid. Maybe it is. Maybe it would be bad if everyone was just wired up on drugs, which probably would be true.
I do think that whether what they're doing is for good or for bad, there's a lot that we don't know.
That is very
100%.
There's
for
so much.
Yeah.
I think the very fact that like I think it's in a couple of days when we're recording this, and at the end of the month of June, the Pentagon's meant to release a big chunk of information about UFOs and stuff like that. So maybe
we've timed this episode well.
Yeah, so exactly. Pretty good timing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, the fact that the government's coming out with all this says a lot. Like, this is some serious stuff. Like, you can't like. I remember when I was little, I used to not like to think about it. Which is like, I think a lot of people like that. Like,
same as me. It used to freak me out.
It freaked me out as well.
Same.
And I don't think it should freak out anyone. Like anyone that's listening or like is going to think more about this. Realistically, it hasn't affected you in your past. It's highly unlikely the revolution that's something that already existed. It's not going to impact you.
No,
unless the government's just like says something hell crazy. But I don't think that's going to happen. But to be honest, I think that we've all got to be open to the fact that there is something out there. We don't know what it is.
But there's some.
There's something, like the government doesn't know what it is either. So I wonder how that makes people feel. The fact that there is something, like humans don't like not knowing.
Yeah.
And I reckon that
scares them. Anything they don't know scares them.
I reckon
fear of the unknown.
Yeah, 100%. I reckon it's crazy that there's something there that just no one knows about. No one knows what it was.
That's pretty freaky.
And
it's not necessarily believing it, it's accepting it.
It's accepting it, because it's, like I was saying to you boys earlier, I don't need to convince you guys that the UFOs are real. They're there. No one knows what they are, but they're there.
Yeah, well, they are UFO, unidentified flying object.
Exactly, unidentified. Yes. Oh, and that's the other thing. The government was hell cheeky with this, but they gave a name to, we call them UFOs, unidentified flying objects, but the government name for them is UAP. Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Yeah.
So that's why they were always able to like, no, we don't know anything about UFOs.
UAPs.
But yeah, it's like, why did you just ask us about UAPs? We would have told you guys all along.
Interesting.
So that's one. But I think as well that like, imagine if they are aliens. What are they like? This is all back to theory and stuff. What are they like? What are they doing with us? Are we like?
Are they just looking at us?
Are they researching us?
Infiltrating us?
Are we, like, for example, humans go off into the jungle and, like, research on different animals in the jungle and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So what if we're just vibing and these UFOs we see are just alien scientists studying us? And what if these UFOs are going back to wherever they come from? They're like, guys, you won't believe the shit they're doing on that planet. It's fucking crazy. Like, can you imagine that? Or we'll have a really dark one. What if humans are just an agricultural product? So like, oh, this one's pretty dark.
Yeah.
So what if we're just used to being like what if aliens are using our bodies to harvest and grow our souls, and they come in and harvest our souls, and we're aging in our human bodies the same way we would age fine wine in a barrel.
Oh.
People, like,
Yowie.
imagine if the government came out and said that. Yeah, guys, don't bother going to work tomorrow. We're really just
Yeah.
there's no point. Like, how crazy would that be? But the reality is, we really don't know. So that's why it's so scary. Like,
I won't be surprised if this episode gets taken down, but
or one by one we all just start disappearing. We don't rock up to footy training one week. But yeah, like, what about that? Like, does the cow in the paddock know it's being used for its milk? Like,
That's true. Yeah.
Oh.
Another one is like, what if we're just like in a zoo? What if this world is like a zoo, and like that's why people always feel a sense of like not belonging, like they feel like something's not right.
Yeah.
Because we're just in a zoo. What if we're a reality TV show for aliens?
Wow.
What about that?
Yeah.
There's a
That's
lot of crazy shit that goes on
Yeah.
planet Earth. It's pretty crazy.
And there's just so much simulation talk
Yeah,
nowadays.
yeah. I don't really buy into the simulation stuff, to be honest.
Really?
I find it very interesting. I can't
Yeah.
see how that would be real. And to be honest, for me,
It's a
the
bit wackadoodle.
No. I think the most crazy theory is the Big Bang. I think the theory that we just came from nothing and we will go into nothing. I think that's the most crazy theory.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just like you just feel not feel yourself. If you just look at yourself and like you're conscious, you're aware. Like, where does that go when you die? Is that just a blank nothing?
Yeah.
Are you just the product of two rocks smashing into each other? Like, no, there's got to be more than
And
that.
your body and your mind,
Yeah.
everything's so complex.
Yeah.
All the systems,
Yeah.
there's got to be something more. you
Yeah,
reckon?
definitely.
It's actually unbelievable how it all works, the body, eh?
It's almost like you're literally like you're the perfect like vehicle, like the way your body works. It's
Yeah.
like you breathe in oxygen, that oxygen diffuses into your, again,
Yeah.
I'm so shit with biology, human biology, but that oxygen goes into your blood, goes into your heart, makes
Gives
everything
energy
work,
and
gives
stuff.
energy. You
Yeah.
gotta fuel your body up with food to keep you going. Like,
Yeah,
it's
there's
pretty crazy.
Yeah, it
stuff
is.
like
It's
that,
pretty
yeah.
crazy. There's another thing. We really just discuss theories here. But remember what I was saying about those psychedelic plants and stuff like that? There's a theory that maybe these aliens, let's say they are aliens, came down to Earth when humans are in their earliest form, like monkeys and stuff like that, and they gave these psychedelic drugs to the monkeys and stuff like that.
True.
And that accelerated our cognitive brain and like our evolution. And that's why we're humans. We know that we share some DNA with monkeys, yet we're so different from them. Like,
yeah, true.
so yeah, like, obviously
Yeah, wow.
not encouraging the use of any type of drug or anything like that, but like that's called the stoned ape theory. That's a big Joe Rogan theory.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy one.
That's interesting.
Pretty crazy one. But yeah, me personally, I'm pretty firm on the basis that like these are either future humans or humans from a past. I'm pretty confident that there's some form of humans. I think maybe there could be alien life out there, but like me, it'd be easier to grasp and accept it if I know that they're a product of humans, you know what I mean?
I think I like your belief in them evolving from us to aliens.
I'm fully for it. I love it.
That's like, to me, that one's like probably the one I'd be like, yeah, like for me, I'd be able to go to sleep peacefully at night, like yeah, it's just future humans. Time travel, it's like Back to the Future, it's fine.
Tell you what, I'm definitely not going to sleep peacefully tonight.
But yeah, and I think the fact that like so much of this, like obviously like we're just yarning, like it might be hard for people to grasp how real this evidence is. Like I'll throw up the picture that Bob Lazar, we'll get Jackson to throw it up. Bob Lazar, when he was describing these UFOs, again, in case people lost track, Bob Lazar is the guy that supposedly worked on the UFOs. He was asked to undergo hypnosis and then draw what he worked on. So he was in like a hypnotic state, meaning like he was completely dead to the world. His hands there's video of him doing it. He's just drawing, and he draws his UFO, and then he comes out of that state, and he looks at it and he goes, I don't know what I've just drawn. Like, I've never seen this before in my life. But then he flips the picture that he just drew onto its side, and he goes, oh, that's it. That's the UFO. I just drew it, like, vertically.
Oh.
So, like, how would he, if he's really making this up, how's he able to do that?
Yeah.
And also adding to this, just feeding this idea. this picture that he drew, which I'm sure everyone's had to look at now.
Yeah.
We'll get Jackson to throw up this picture that one of the eyewitnesses in one of the schools that supposedly got visited by UFOs, they got asked to draw what they saw, and the pictures are almost identical. Like they look so similar.
Wow.
So yeah, there's like some pretty crazy evidence that's been gotten here.
So, yeah, this is crazy.
I've actually never felt so uneasy on this couch. Like, wow.
I was pretty uneasy when Scissor was next to me.
Yeah, I tried.
yeah, fucking hell, drink some water.
Yeah, that is definitely crazy. Why do you think they haven't spoken to more people?
I think so. Let's say they were future humans. I think, based on all my knowledge of time travel from Avengers Endgame and Back to the Future, that if you like speak to your past self, it could mess up the future.
Yeah.
So I think that like maybe they just interact. That's why like the encounters that people have with these things, they're like the most random people. It's just someone driving home on a highway late at night. It's just some random school in Kenya.
Yeah.
And that's why they pick like the most random people
Yeah.
to interact with, so it doesn't affect them. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I see.
so like, yeah, like someone
Yeah.
that has no direct link to them in the timeline of which they exist.
And potentially, it could throw the world into
Yeah,
it'd be
like-
crazy
like
anarchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, imagine middle of New York City.
Oh my god, that would
Alien
be,
comes down.
that'd be nuts. And actually, there's actually a lot of eyewitnesses that happen in major cities, but those
Yeah.
ones, they're easier for people to dismiss because be like, oh, you're just like, that was just a plane. Like,
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
worry about that. Like maybe they are there, but like
That's very
you just
true.
don't see it. And the other thing is, I actually believe that the fact that we see them is proof for the fact that they want us to see them. Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
if
that's
they
Yeah, I feel
clearly-
like if they got time travel technology,
Yeah,
they
and
could
just-
have
and the fact
camouflage or
we've
whatever.
seen the way they like. If they didn't want us to see them, you wouldn't see them.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because they're that futuristic.
Yeah,
But
and
potentially.
that advances. Can you just
Yeah.
imagine? It's like all these UFO sightings have just been like an alien messing up. He's just a slap.
Yeah,
on the back.
yeah, like,
You
"Oh."
idiot! They saw
Yeah.
you, like you dumbass. Like, can you imagine, like I reckon, like
That's
it's-
my favourite theory, actually.
yeah, they're just the aliens are actually
yeah,
really
just
dumb.
God damn it, Gavin.
Yeah, you've done it. It's the second time. But yeah, that like if they didn't want whatever they are, if they didn't want you to see them, I don't think that you'd see them.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like even like our military's like we have like stealth jets and stuff like that, and like UAV drones and stuff. Like if people don't want you to see them, you won't know they're there. So let alone something
Yeah.
way more advanced.
Yeah.
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 So do you think there's how there's people saying, oh, I saw this, like there's so many theories. Do you think I honestly think a lot of them could be true now?
I disagree. I reckon a lot of them is probably bullshit.
Oh, really?
I
Yeah.
reckon a lot of there's a lot of crazy people. Like actually,
Yeah.
it's a bit hypocritical me saying it. There's a lot of people that like
They
talk
aren't
about UFOs.
specialists. They aren't specialists.
They're just making up stories. This sounds really bad for me now, but they're just making up stories to get attention.
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Like, but the fact that there's actual credible stories and stuff like
Yeah.
that, I think
That's
that's
I think that's
cool.
huge. We're taught through school.
Yeah.
You know, when you're getting your information, it's got to be credible.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
got to be reliable.
This is the literal American
yeah.
government, the most powerful government in the
Yeah.
world, or depending where you're from, but
Yeah.
they're literally confirming the fact that these exist.
Yeah.
And I think they're like being very clever about it. They have timed like the release of this information that I assume until like we started talking about this that you blokes probably wouldn't even have thought about UFOs.
No, I didn't really.
I
hear
didn't
that
know
much of
anything.
it.
You know,
Yeah,
those videos just they were released in 2017.
yeah, I know. That's the
cr-
crazy.
And
Yeah.
I bet none of 2017. I was in year 10 back then. Like
Yeah.
you would have no idea the government, unless you're very into this topic. Like you would have no idea the government released this. So I think the
Exactly.
fact that right now the world's in a pretty crazy place. You got the coronavirus, you got all the
Yeah.
civil rights problems, you got all sorts of crazy shit going on. I reckon they're timing it at a time where like they can be like, yeah, we said they were real. You just weren't paying attention.
Yeah. All right. Does coronavirus, is that a part of this? Maybe to keep that the futuristic humans need people to stay home
Oh my
and
god.
stop destroying the climate.
Hey,
I
Tim,
really,
man.
oh Matt, you're actually,
Yeah.
I really don't know how I feel about like, cause like a part of me wants to be like, yeah, it was just some crazy. I'm Asian, I can say this. Asians eat everything. Like
Yeah.
someone ate a bat, they got COVID, and it really just is a pandemic. But like, when you look at like how like there's so much government cover up with COVID and how like
so much.
everyone's got to get vaccinated. Obviously not anti-vaccine. Everyone should go get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Like, this is just
Absolutely.
more crazy stuff. But like how like when everyone was in lockdown for a brief period of time, like the carbon emission dropped by heaps and stuff like that, and how supposedly it could have been made in a Chinese lab. Like maybe it is a big conspiracy, but I actually really don't think it has. I think it has nothing to do with the topic of UFOs. I think that it's just convenient to the government that this is happening at that time, that it can just like be a smokescreen.
Yeah, no.
We will definitely chuck the videos of that we've shown tonight, the links in the bio.
Yeah.
But there's so many
there's
crazy
so
things that
many.
they say in there. The one that is very, not alarming, but eye-catching is when he says that these footage are definitely not the best bits of evidence. Like they have better videos from 50 feet away from a cockpit. So if let's hope that gets released.
Yeah.
At the end of the month or whenever they do it.
And I've been waiting. I've been holding this a little bit back just to say it now. Suppose like all these like good accounts of like good evidence and stuff like that. One of the things that Bob Lazar said as well is, and he was pretty iffy on this one. He was just like, I saw it for a split second. Like, don't take my word for it. He said when he was working in that Area 51 S4 base, he said he walked past a room for a split second, and there was like a window there. Like imagine a window in a classroom.
Yeah.
And as he was walking by, he just flicked his head to the left and just had a look to my right. But he just flicked his head and had a look inside a room. And he said he saw in that room two like people talking to someone that was very small sitting on a chair. And he said that he was very adamant. Like he's very adamant that what he worked on was real. Like he's always like, I worked on this. Like I worked on this. But this bit of information, he's like, I saw it for a split second. I'm not 100% sure about what I saw. So I think.
But why else would they be talking to someone small?
Exactly.
Area
And
51 at the S4
Can't believe I
base?
forgot to mention this when I was talking about the future humans and the evolution. These craft, they're designed to fit something very small in. Like whatever's piloting these craft, they're like half our size. Yeah. Which again is like support for like the whole evolution one. Yeah. But I imagine if the government comes out tomorrow and they're like, like we have UFOs and we have a live something in there.
That's crazy.
I reckon that'd make people freak
Yoey's
out.
got us cult status. They found it. All that.
The government.
We'll come clean now.
Yeah, the government like, oh shit, he's on us. We gotta release it all now.
My mind is honestly blown.
Yeah,
and there's things like
because
of like the time and stuff like that, we can't keep going. But like we could sit here and talk for hours, man. There's so much more that's just not going to be.
We'll absolutely be getting you on again. Definitely after the new information dump as well.
Oh my god, maybe at the end of the month or something like that.
Do you think that they will release all of it? Or
No,
definitely not.
No, 100% no. Like it's like they're gonna have to release like because supposedly the Senate is ordering the Pentagon to release a bunch of stuff, but like they're just gonna hold back something pretty. But they're gonna release some pretty crazy stuff, I think, because like a lot of people like sort of catching on to it. They're like, what do you guys
they can't
know?
play dumb anymore.
And the crazy thing is, it's actually not just the American government that has stuff like this. Apparently, the Russian government has stuff like this, and the Chinese government has stuff like this. The Russian government supposedly has accounts of because like all these stories about UFOs, they're pretty peaceful and stuff like that. But Russians, the Russians are a bit crazy. Like they supposedly, a Russian pilot supposedly chased a UFO. And he got shot down and they were killed. So that for a long period of time. And this is all credible. Like if you dig hard enough, you'll find the documents for this. Like supposedly for a long period of time, the Russians were aware that UFOs are in the area and stuff like that. So they had an order that if you saw one, you had to follow it and track it. And UFO didn't really like it. Shot a bunch of them down. And another. It's just bits of information that come to me now as I'm speaking. There's what's that word? Nuclear. I can't believe I forgot that. So there's a story about a UFO nuclear base at the height of the Cold War, like when there were like tensions with America and Russia, like could have blown each other up. Supposedly, a UFO came down over this nuclear base, deactivated all their nuclear missiles, like completely turned them all off. And the people in there, like they could see the craft and like, the fuck's like, what's going on? Everything shut off. And then all of a sudden, all the missiles activated and it was like gearing up for launch and no one could like stop it. And just as the countdown was counting down, it just turned off and the UFO went away. So what a bunch of people reckon is like that was a show of power from the UFOs. It's just like nuclear weapons are your most powerful weapons, and they're just nothing to us. Like look at that.
That's pretty alpha.
Yeah, that is pretty alpha.
Yeah.
That's
Very
a power
alpha.
move. Oh, I love power.
I love
moves.
power
I
moves.
love power.
Hamish
Hamish
and
and
Andy.
Andy. Hamish and Andy power move.
Do you have the book?
No, I'm trying to get the dishonorable second release.
I'll give you my book.
Oh,
You can read it.
Thank you,
Mate,
Thanks,
it's
God.
awesome.
I fucking love power moves. But yeah, how fucked? Like, and
That is very
that
fucked.
that one's very legit as well. Like, I've actually like seen like the file for that.
That's
like the
fucked.
report about that. That one's pretty crazy.
That's insane. That's
Yes,
skits.
and like, I think it's crazy how like, all of these credible UFO stories happen around military and stuff like that. Like,
yeah.
like it's pretty
Yeah.
like
And why would the military lie about
Exactly.
about that? If they show the footage, why would they?
and like the
Yeah.
thing that's got said in the video and stuff, how like there's new orders now for like Navy pilots to actually report what they see.
Yes, it's been formalised now.
Yeah,
2019
yeah. Because,
to
like,
report UFOs and stuff.
Let's,
Yeah.
let's say, Maddie, tonight, like before we did this podcast, you're driving down Leach Highway, you see a crazy UFO shoot up across the sky. Would you tell anyone? And if you did,
I'd
do you
tell my
reckon-
mates, but I wouldn't make anything official.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like,
But and the thing is, would they believe you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
So that's the
Exactly.
thing. Like, I
Yeah.
reckon there's so many people out there with like crazy stories that they're not making up, but also they could be just crazy.
yeah,
stories that make
there's that
stuff up.
fine line.
Yeah,
you don't-
exactly.
you don't
That's
know.
why the fact that the government's talking about it makes it all that more like
Yeah.
That's
on.
crazy.
yeah, pretty nutty.
Holy moly! Oh, I'm sweating. This is
Yeah, no, the heart rate's going up.
Yeah.
And, like,
Oh, and guys, this is the tip of the iceberg.
Oh
this
my
is
God.
this is like we're getting a bit warmed up to the topics. This is nothing. There's like the whole Galactic Federation thing.
yeah.
The whole fact that government potentially forces people to do large amounts of drugs to go into meetings and like it's just a whole rabbit hole of conspiracies. Like
yeah.
it's a crazy topic. This one's honestly the most mellow, just because of the fact official people have confirmed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is probably
Yeah,
like the
think
most
of think of what we don't know.
Most
Oh,
released.
think about
Skits thing.
Yeah.
Well, Area 51 raid. Did you get there? Or?
No, it wasn't. I saw that. I did back at the time when it happened in 2019. I was just doing my ATAR again.
Oh,
So I didn't even
bloody
really.
ATAR.
Yeah. I wasn't really thinking much. Honestly, this whole UFO stuff really just came about with me listening to podcasts and then thinking more about like the universe and like
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Mate, you could dead set start one
Yeah.
on this.
yeah.
Mate, that'd be elite.
I encourage anyone that's maybe slightly interested in this topic to definitely check out this guy named Jeremy Corbell. He's
Yeah.
and George Knapp. So they have a good Joe Rogan podcast where the two of them are on. I'd encourage people to check out what Bob Lazar has. There's actually a documentary on Netflix. I think it gets taken off coincidentally at the end of the month.
Oh,
That George Corbell made with Bob Lazar. So
Yeah.
if people are maybe interested about this guy that
do you know the name of that?
Yes, I think it's just called Area 51.
I'll be watching
okay.
that tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a pretty
That's
weird, wacky documentary. But yeah, it's there. It's
How
there.
about that? That's going away at the end of the month.
Yeah, kind of coincidental, don't you
Yeah.
think? Yeah.
Yeah, coincidence? I think not.
Wow.
Yeah.
My mind is absolutely blown.
Yeah. Mate, I've said it about 6 times. I'm speechless. Like,
And I'll say it again, boys. This is really just nothing. This is
Yeah.
really just nothing.
Well, hopefully we find out more.
Hopefully we do, and I think that we're all about to get a pretty interesting introduction, because I think the government's going to gently ease this onto us. They're not just going to be like,
Yeah.
bang, look at this. Like it'll be like pretty solid.
gradual,
Yeah.
And probably has been.
Probably has
gradual.
been. Like think
yeah.
of how like acclimatized we've been to it now. 'Cause,
I
like,
know, yeah.
Back in the
Yeah.
80s, if the government came out with that, fuck, that'd be pretty crazy.
Yeah,
But, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
It probably has been a gradual like the fact that we're all talking about it now and no one's calling this a witch or anything like that. I think
Yeah.
that's the evidence that they're slowly warming you up to it.
And those theories that from those crazy people might actually have helped in our acceptance
Maybe.
of just being able to talk about it. They've
And-
done their part, even though they might be a bit crazy.
And actually, there's actually an argument for the opposite, that the government is only releasing it now because of the credible evidence from the military that, like, you have to release it now. Like,
Yes, they've got
and
to
the
restore
fact that
them.
we're like all those crazy stories and stuff, that was just a smoke screen. Like, oh, that can't be real. That's just made up stuff. So like those crazy stories were to desense us to it.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
it's like when you hear something, like say if like I came to you a little while ago before all this, and I'd be like, man, I saw a UFO. Like, you'd be like, yeah, Josh, like, I believe it.
Yeah.
Would you really believe me?
No.
You'd be like, no, it's just something from a movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. I'm fully on board.
Yeah.
I'm fully on
I
board.
believe it as well.
I
You've
think-
sold me, you've sold out. You sold Jacko.
I think it's also important to know like this is really like I didn't come up with this on my own.
Yeah.
This is just like bits of pieces of information. Like to me in my mind it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think you've got me. But this is really important. I can't stress this enough. I want to hear like everyone's comments. So YouTube, Instagram, whatever you're listening on, comment. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree?
Yeah.
And what are your theories?
Do you
If
have,
you've got
do you have,
different ones,
do you have
we wanna
something
hear
to
'em.
add?
I think because I
Yeah.
honestly I loved all me and my mates we spent hours just sitting around just having dinner, let's go having a beer, just yarning about stuff like this. These types of conversations go on forever.
The thing that freaks me out is that the governments, whether they've got information that they probably have information that could send the world into anarchy if they released
Yeah.
it.
And I think it's kind of scary that one organization has all that. Wouldn't you like to be aware of everything?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, wow.
Well, we do have a few viewer questions.
Yeah, let's move into
fuck.
them.
Here we go.
Move on.
All right.
Well, this one here, you touched on it earlier, but the pyramids do have some relation to UFOs?
I think if the actually, you know what? Maybe they do. Yeah, I think so. There's a lot of evidence for the fact that the pyramids are actually a lot older than archaeologists
Really?
previously thought they were. For example, you guys know what the Sphinx is, right?
Yeah.
That kind of cat-looking thing
Yeah.
like that. So apparently there's rain marks on it, and these water markings on it date back to around that 8,000, 12,000 year mark that Graham Hancock was
That's
was talking about.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, and just the fact that the pyramids are made from 1 cubic blocks all stacked up on each other. One of these blocks is 20 tons. I don't even if it was 1 ton, it's 1,000.
Yeah.
And
That's
the
a lot,
fact that all these blocks they're stacked up on each other, correct to within a millimeter. If these things were off by more than a centimeter,
Insane.
it would mess up the whole thing. And also, they made this thousands of years ago without imagine if it's an ancient civilization that had technology that would explain it. But supposedly
Just
they
with
made all this
Yeah.
with math and horses and ropes and pulleys.
Yeah.
You know what would have helped? Gravity propulsion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here's a kicker for it. So inside the pyramid, and most of the pyramids, there's a chamber called the King's Chamber, which is where which would be a hollow bit inside the pyramid.
Yeah.
So you look up, the pyramid's 200, 300 meters high. There's a space of 200, 300 meters high. And the thing that supports this are these massive pillars. And these pillars are sitting 200, 300 meters off the ground. And each one of these pillars is couple tons, 20
Yeah.
tons.
Yeah.
How did they get it up there?
How?
They were definitely you couldn't.
Yeah.
Nowadays, humans have trouble doing that with cranes.
Yeah.
Think about that's pretty crazy.
Jeez.
How did they do that?
I honestly
And-
reckon that humans nowadays would struggle to build the
Yeah.
pyramids as precisely.
There's many scientists that agree with that. It's we could do it, but we struggle to do it with the technology we have. So how'd they do it? And also the fact that the whole thing with the dimensions. It's almost there's I think it is Graham Hancock that says this, but he says it's almost like the pyramids were built to transcend time. It's however far along you are into civilization, you look at the pyramids, you have the exact calculation of light, you have the exact degree, the north and south pole.
I was
There's actually-
unaware of that before you told me that.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
There's actually a lot more things to it, how the little things, how each block represents a couple meters, and when you add up the amount of blocks that's in the pyramid, it adds to the exact diameter of the Earth. There's some crazy
That's
stuff
whack.
that they think that let's say tomorrow, asteroid hits the Earth, we're completely wiped out. In 10,000 years, what evidence is there going to be that we existed?
Yeah.
All our information's on hard drives, all our information's on computers.
Yeah.
Something hits us, wipes us all out. What evidence is there going to be? What's going to be standing left, apart from cities that'll crumble eventually?
Yeah.
But, what evidence, and it's kind of convenient, the cities, the things we've built, they're the only things left standing, kind of like the pyramids.
Kind of like the pyramids.
How crazy would that be? Imagine tomorrow we get wiped out by a meteorite, and in 20,000 years, people were like, no, the Eiffel Tower couldn't have been built by people like that. It's so crazy. People couldn't have
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, okay.
there'd be no evidence. And
Yeah.
there's this place in Rome called the Great Library of Alexandria. I think that's what it's called.
Yep.
It burnt down like a couple hundred years
Oh,
ago.
yeah.
And supposedly in that library was a lot of like ancient texts and stuff like that, which could have really helped us, but it burnt down conveniently.
Conveniently. Coincidence?
Coincidence?
I think
I
not.
think no.
I think not.
Just about have to title it that. Coincidence? I think not.
Yeah, that's skits.
But
That is
yeah,
skits.
and also another sorry to keep bringing drugs into this, but the Egyptians really loved their DMT, and DMT is one of those psychedelic drugs that actually is in all of us right now. So in your pineal gland,
Especially in Tinny.
it's actually in tinny, but apparently in your pineal gland before you die, a huge amount of DMT is released to your body. That's what people like near-death experiences.
The
they
light
experience
and
like your
stuff.
whole life back in
Yeah.
Oh,
and
wow.
the Eye of Horus in Egyptian mythology
Yep.
looks exactly like the pineal gland if you cut it in half and looked at it front on. So yeah, again, which is another whole rabbit hole, but again, that whole thing about like consciousness and your spirit and stuff.
I'm hooked. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
doing
Oh,
so
mate.
much of research.
like, every-
Don't do the drugs yourself though. There's plenty
No.
of stuff to.
Yeah.
But everything, every name and every idea that you've had tonight, I'm searching up as soon as I get
Yeah.
home and just
Yeah,
going,
man, it's
what
pretty
actually
crazy.
is this? And
It's
just,
pretty crazy.
wow.
And we all know how the Egyptians are all into their afterlife and stuff. Like
Yeah.
that. So yeah.
Wow.
Tinny, another viewer
Yeah, we have
question?
another viewer question.
All right. Here we go.
It's a little bit different. We're on to footy.
Okay.
We know that you love a goal celebration.
I do love a goal celebration. I
Yeah.
don't really I love every opportunity I get to get a
Yeah.
goal. And
As
so
a
like,
So you
fullback,
stuck at
it's not,
fullback.
not much
yeah,
opportunity.
and every little sniff I get more is up Mark's shoulder, like, hey Mark, you want to chuck me
Full
up?
forward.
Yeah.
We're up by 150. Surely
Yeah,
I can
and
stay
that's
forward
what-
for a quarter.
That's
Yeah.
what makes the goal celebrations all the more awkward, because the chance I get to go up and forward and kick a goal is when we're pumping some team by 120
Yeah.
points. Honestly, it probably is a bit disrespectful. I should stop doing it, but I just get so excited. So
I like it.
I like it.
I like it a lot, but you have to keep the goal, don't you? I heard
Oh,
about something on the
okay,
weekend.
Alright, I
this
know
is
what's
rough.
so. Not apparently, it happened. I kicked a goal on the weekend that was called as a point, but
Yeah.
it was a goal. Bruno knows this, so Bruno's watching. He
The
knows.
Winnicott goal umpire gave it a point.
He knows, and Cameron Santaroma, they know it was a goal. I reckon they knew it was because I thought it was a goal as well. And so I've turned around, done my Bruno Fernandes impression, slid on my knees and gone, come on. Because I reckon that was one of the best goals
Yeah.
I've ever kicked.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
I just turned around to, I think it was DJ or something like, yo, what are you doing?
Oh,
And I was like,
no.
what? And then typical kid who goes, you're a dumbass, bro. That's a point.
Oh,
And I was
no.
like, oh, shit. Like, and then, like, it was in
Jeez.
front of, like, a big crowd of opposition. And I was like, oh,
You've done a knee
Shit.
slide.
I hope you got
Oh.
fined for that.
I think I did. And also booting the ball into ET's head. I'm pretty sure that's double.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
hilarious. Well, you know what? I reckon whether or not you kick the goal or the point, if you've done a celebration like that, Bruno needs to spare you from the embarrassment
Oh, I
and
know.
call it a goal.
I know.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that it was the Winnicott goal umpire
Oh.
as well. That was
Look after
a
your
true
mates.
robbery. A
Yeah.
true robbery.
Absolute dog.
thrown under the bus. But yeah.
That's a conspiracy.
It's a conspiracy,
Bruno-
Bruno.
That's
Do
funny.
you mean to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruno also had a crook knee this year and turned Tinny inside out. Just a memory.
I think we've
thought
spoken about this
yeah,
before.
we did. We
and
definitely did.
I'll give you the exact same response. Not true. the ball fell into his lap, and he ran. That's simple as that.
Yeah,
There's
this is
nothing more to
ridiculous. This is
it.
ridiculous, Tinny. It's sad.
Oh man.
And thing, Yoey, we love to do every
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
Our favourite.
Our favourite is your cult hero. An example of
Yeah.
someone, a cult hero, yeah.
Bob Lazar for me.
Cult hero. Steve Irwin. I love Steve Irwin.
Legend.
Yeah,
He's almost
Respect.
past cult hero. Just
Yeah,
proper
that honestly
hero.
has nothing to do with the topic, but I just love Steve Irwin.
He's
Yeah,
a legend.
no.
For a long period of time, I was convinced I was going to marry Bindi Irwin. And, unfortunately, it did not happen. She has a kid and stuff.
Ah.
And,
Never
yeah.
too late.
Never too late.
Yeah.
Oh, my girlfriend.
Ah.
Anyway, never too late. Yes.
Oh, that's awesome, mate.
Right.
Hopefully he gets on a note soon.
Yeah, that'd
$100
be cool.
note.
Yeah.
That he deserves it.
Or
That
surely
would be
$100
sick.
with a crocodile or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be- yeah.
Absolutely.
Green. Yeah, green.
Good
I like
idea,
it.
Tinny.
Yeah.
This is a bit disrespectful, but for a minute there, I honestly thought you said, I hope Steve Irwin gets a note. I was like, well, actually, can't really get anything. But anyway, we'll continue.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much,
Oh,
Yoey.
mate.
That was honestly the most informative podcast I'd say that we've done. That
Mine's
was,
been blown.
yeah, that was
And,
crazy.
Yeah. I hope people at home have
Yeah.
their minds blown as well.
Thanks
And,
for...
yeah, I'll be definitely watching the sky on my drive home and a lot more often, I think. So,
Yeah, thanks for having me, boys. It's been a pleasure. Again, must stress, like, this is just like crazy. Like, we just having a yarn and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like, don't take any of this too seriously, but do be aware that the government
be aware.
confirm it.
Well, I am taking it seriously.
I'm
I think everyone
taking
should.
it
This is awesome. That was awesome. Thank you
Wow.
so much.
Oh, thanks,
and
boys.
I can guarantee this will not be the last time you're on here.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I need you to stock up, go in, get some more theories.
that's it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So for people watching who watch the Joe Rogan Experience, I'm fully set. This is my goal. I will become the Alex Jones of this podcast.
I love that. I love that.
I love it.
That is great. Okay.
And yeah, you don't have to believe it, just accept it. Thank you.
My name is Jeremy Corbell. I'm an investigative filmmaker.
Jezza.
Jezzo,
Jezzamundo.
how are you, mate? Just me and Ash from Cult Status here.
Just ringing up Jez to see if Joshua David's UFO theories have any credibility to them.
These milestones along the way, no matter how much we nitpick it apart, no matter how much people don't want to believe it, the evidence that he's telling the truth outweighs the evidence that he's not.